Hello and welcome to the latest FC Cymru videocast. Now, you might look down the Ryan Giggs squad list these days and think, where on earth have all these brilliant young players come from? You may see Nico Williams coming on for Liverpool, Ethan Ampadu at Leipzig, or even Rabbi Matondo running down the wing for Schalke and think, how has this happened to little old us? Well, we intend to answer that question. This videocast is going to be split into two. Later on, we'll be chatting to three of the coaches who are integral to the success of the age grade setup. But first of all, we're going to be chatting to first team coach and former Take No Prisoners defender Rob Page and Bristol City midfielder Joe Morrell. Joe's got a heck of a story. He's come right the way through the system from those regional squads where you come into the system right the way to the first team, and of course making his debut last autumn and then playing his part against Hungary as we qualified for Euro 2020. And of course we'll get into those stories soon, but we did have to ask about the postponed Euro 2020 tournament.
Let's start with the downer first. The fact that the Euros haven't happened this summer, and you guys were obviously there, ready. We'd had that wonderful night against Hungary, and just a huge disappointment, I imagine, Rob, to suddenly have the rug pulled and the tournament pushed back by 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from September onwards there was a real good feel. There you could see the confidence building by each game. There was a great buzz around the camp. In the end, towards the last two games in November, we were confident going into it, and we knew we just had to turn up. And it's never that easy, we know, but we were that confident going into the games that we couldn't see anything other than a win and a positive result in qualifying. So when we qualified against Hungary, the feeling was unbelievable, and the preparation had already been in place for what we were going to do in the summer and the camps that we had planned and the trips away. And so, for it to be pulled from under our feet, the rug pulled from under our feet, is a little bit disappointing, but it can't be helped. It's out of our control, and we have to plan again now for next summer. So, but we're really looking forward to it.
Were you quite away down with the planning? Obviously, it was only a few months away, wasn't it? So I imagine you put a lot in place.
Absolutely. Amanda and Mark, they worked tirelessly to go out and prep and make sure the venues were right, where we were staying, the hotels, the training facilities, everything. The attention to detail that goes into something like that, the planning is unbelievable. And we planned everything more or less. Training camps, like I said, 3 or 4 day training camps up in North Wales in Colliers Park and one in Dragons Park down in South Wales with some of the championship players that were finishing a little bit sooner than the Premiership players. So we had all these camps in place and penciled into the calendar. So yeah, I mean it's a big thing to organise, with regards to the hotels and the squads and we had everything in place really, and we were all ready to go.
Yeah, and the same for you, I guess, Joe, in terms of you got yourself to the end of the season, had a terrific season at Lincoln, you burst into the first team setup, and we're all ready and sort of keen to get the Euros underway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly what Paige said, really, in terms of, obviously, I think we had the momentum with us after, especially the games. Obviously, I can't speak from before, but the games that I've played during this season, I think we're all really positive. And obviously, to be able to take that momentum into what would hopefully be a strong summer would have been perfect. But obviously not been the case. But, there's no reason why we can't keep that momentum going and take it into next summer.
Absolutely. Listen, we'll come back to Hungary. We'll probably finish it at Hungary. But let's take you back, first of all, because when FC Cymru very first started, for one of our first sort of trips and our jobs we were given, we're following you guys out into Bosnia, into Zenica, into incredible snowy conditions for an under-21s game. And Rob, that was you and Paul Bowden were looking after the team at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I remember that game because we were in doubt. We'd done all the prep again, the prep that goes into the camps before it. I think we had a great pre-camp down the Vale of Glamorgan before we flew out, and everything was in place. And within 24 hours, the snow came down, and it was in doubt whether the game was going to go ahead. I think if it had been at home, the game would have been called off. But I've never seen a team of staff work so good to clear that pitch. The day before, it was probably 4 feet under snow. And then they cleared it for kickoff, and we played the game, and the pitch was in perfect condition. So, fair play to them for getting it ready, and you look back with good memories. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a heck of a team, Joe, as well, wasn't it, that you took out there? When you look at that side now and the lineup that you had Rabi and Dave Brooks and obviously Roden and Dan James as well, and yourself. It was an incredible lineup that you had there when you consider where it's gone over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think so, like you said. But I think the thing that's even more crazy is the fact that we probably never always had a team where we had everyone available, because obviously a lot of people got fast-tracked into the first team, which is obviously great. But I think if we would have had an under-21s team that was where you had everyone available for selection, which obviously understandably we didn't, but I think if we did at any point, we would have had a really, really strong team. But obviously that's one of the benefits of being Welsh and playing for Wales, is that you do get the opportunities to get fast-tracked. And you've seen with Ethan, I don't think he ever played an under-21s game. He probably didn't play an under-19s game, I don't think, because he's been playing in the first team since he was, 17, was it? So, yeah, like I said, it was a good team, but, you do have that natural disappointment, the fact that you look around some of the players that I've played with, I probably never played with all of them at the same time, which is understandable though, like I said.
Yeah. And so looking at that team, obviously you've got the guys who've sort of really pushed on, and then yourself has just come into the squad, and you've got other guys who are now making their way. I think Cian Harries is at Bristol Rovers, and that sort of age group, when you're that sort of age at 2021, it's such a critical time as a footballer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just the end of youth team football for a lot of people. Obviously, people get exposed to senior football at different times, and for me, it was around that age, 19, 20, when I had my first loan and started to play senior football. So it is sort of around that age, like you said, where it's a bit make or break for people's careers, because, you'll see a lot of players that, I've played with in the past who at youth team levels have been, some of the best players that I've played with. And then, for whatever reason, they struggle to break through into senior teams. So it's definitely a challenge, and it's definitely a key few years for any footballer's development, and some people have it easier than others, and ultimately makes people's journeys a lot different.
Yeah, and for you, Rob, as a coach, I guess you're, on the one hand, you're trying to guide these guys in terms of development. On the other hand, you're trying to win football matches and also then give the first team kind of players as well. So you're, I guess, splitting yourself across several different ways. Which is the way that you're kind of, as an under-21s boss, is the most important?
Well, as a youth manager, coach, your job is to keep developing these players for the manager, for Ryan, to benefit from, and for us as a nation to benefit from. So Joe's just used Ethan as an example, and Brooksy wasn't with us for long, and Joe Roden's now stepped up, and Chris Mepham, all the ones that show potential, they won't stay with us for long. They'll be up with the first team, especially now. We've got a manager in Ryan that is absolutely pro youth, and is not afraid to make those decisions and promote within. So, it's great when you're a youth team coach. It's great to have that. Now, we've got an understanding committee as well that also understand that, yes, we want to qualify for the elite groups. Of course we do. And we've done ever so well this season with the under-17s qualifying for the elites and the under-19s winning the group, which finish in top for years, which we've never done under Rob Edwards. So, we are getting the balance right now. Not only are we developing these players to the first team, but we're also getting our younger age groups, the 17s and 19s, to qualify now for the elite stages, which it's been a work in progress. It's been 3 years in the making, and there's a lot of room for improvement, and we'll continue to do that. But it's trying to create a winning mentality, which is difficult. We've got this document called the Welsh Way, which is great. I understand it's been tweaked at the moment because Ryan obviously works a little bit differently to how Chris was, understandably, and we have to create this document that when we get these players on camp, that's our opportunity to implement the Welsh Way. This is how we expect you to behave and train and create that culture when you're with us. To do that, there's a pathway then to go through the first team. So it's creating that winning mentality, winning games to qualify for the elite groups, but also showing them that there's a pathway. If they show potential, there's an opportunity to play for your country.
Joe, I guess you're almost the epitome of that pathway. It's every single level you've played at for Wales. So you've sort of seen it as you step up. And is that kind of the aim, I guess, of the coaches and Rob? They're trying to make it as seamless as possible. For yourself as a player, what's your experience of that pathway?
I mean, yeah, I loved every minute of it. Like you said, I played every level. I probably played over 50 times for all the youth teams in the end, which is something that was pretty normal to me because like you said, I played for all the age groups, and the aim for me was to always play for the first team. But I think the fact that I was never fast track, like Ethan probably played half the games I did, or even less. But I think just having the opportunity to play with so many different players under so many different coaches, and I think it makes it sweeter when you get to the senior team with lads that you've played with for the last 5 years, like Harry and DJ especially.
Yeah, absolutely. So for yourself then, Rob, I go back long enough to know that we were not always great at youth level, and our player pool was never quite big enough to be able to support all the teams. So now there's an under-18s team coming in as well.
Yeah,
the breadth of our players is something that I've certainly in my lifetime never seen before.
Yeah, and Gus Williams has got to take a lot of credit for that. He's our talent ID. He goes out and identifies Welsh players out there, and we monitor them. Obviously, then he organises the scouting network as well, which is a big job, and we've got to identify these players, try to get them into the system, using David Brooks and Chris Mepham as an example. I remember speaking to Brooksy before the Toulon tournament, and he went with England, so I said, fine, no problem, but, just bear in mind or promise you give us an opportunity as well, and then do whatever you want, and I'll support your decision in whatever you want to do. And true to his word, fair play to him, we went to Toulon with England and come back, give us a chance. My first 2 games was Switzerland away and Portugal away, back to back. And Brooksy played against Switzerland, and he was outstanding. And he scored one of the best goals I've seen at youth level. So Chris Coleman was manager at the time, so I phoned him straight away and said, look, he's not going to be with the 21s long. So it's managing then those dual nationality players. And like you said, the pool of players we've got to pick from now is considerably bigger than what we had 3, 4, 5 years ago. When Geraint Williams done this job before me 3 years ago, when he stepped aside, how he done it on his own, I don't know. He done it on his own with very little resources. And fair play to the committee. When I come in, they backed me and said, right, okay, so I brought Paul Bowden in straight away as my assistant. I then pushed within 12 months to get another coach for Rob Edwards, so we could get the under-17s, 19s and 21s all playing at the same time. That was something we'd never been able to do before. So to get the 17s in on an international window, we could never do that because we never had the resources, the coaches to do it. So that's helped us a great way, because we can get all these players in and start to show them what we're all about and what we expect from them. So the development, I think, is vastly improved because of that as well.
Yeah. And for you, Joe, your dad's a proud Bristolian, I think, isn't he? And your mum is from Merthyr, is that right?
My mum's from Merthyr, yeah. My dad's not from Bristol. But,
is he not? Okay.
I think he's adopted Bristolian now, just without the accent. I think he'll probably say fortunately for him. But, so obviously, like Paige said, I'm dual nationality as well. I probably never had the decision to make. Being honest, it was never England or Wales for me. It's only ever been Wales, and I think that's a positive thing as well. I've always loved playing for Wales, and I've always felt Welsh, especially in a footballing sense. I've never felt anything else. So I know I'm only half Welsh, but in my opinion, I've always bought into it, and always it's something that I think, especially in the early years, is sort of drummed into you as well. The fact that everyone has to learn the anthem. I remember doing like sort of Welsh history lessons at like 15, 16, which I can't imagine many countries do with, Cledman Ashford and when Oshan was the 15s and 16s coach at the time. So I think it does help the way that they bring you up within the system. Because I think then when you do get to the senior team, you feel like you've had sort of an education as well as a footballing education.
Yeah. And was that important for you, Joe, to have that? Because I've met Cled. He is a great guy, isn't he? Did he make you rap the national anthem?
I think he did, to be fair. He had us doing all sorts in those years. But I think people like him don't get the credit they deserve either, because they're such an important part of not just your development as a player, but your development as a person, and the amount of the players that would have played for Wales throughout the youth groups and would have never have gone on to even be a footballer now. I think they'll still look back on those times for them with fond memories. And like I said, he helped develop us all as people, and I think that's as important, especially when you do get to the senior team and you understand what it feels like to play for Wales.
And is that the thing then, Rob? Is that the way that you guys work as a coaching team then? Because you've now expanded, as you said, via the 17s, 19s, and 21s, the 18s that are coming on board. Is that something you guys talk about and discuss and put in place?
Yeah, so we've now got an under-18s team as well, because we found there's a group of players that when they leave the 17s, if they don't qualify for the elite group, then there's a long time before we get them back on grass. So we've got an under-18s team now, which we're pleased that Matty Jones has come in to coach and manage and look after that age group for us, which is great. It's another, ex-player. He played for Wales. Everybody knows about him. He's got a wealth of experience. He's a fantastic coach, a great person, and he's great to be part of this team now. And yeah, for the development, it's important that we have that link, going from the under-16s now, where Rich Williams has had a big impact on the under-16s since Oshan's left, and he's taken that now into the 17s because it was the same group of players, and they've qualified for the elite group. So for me, there's no coincidence. They've had that consistency, the continuity going from the 16s to 17s. Rob Edwards had a big part to play with the 17s as well last year, and he's now stepped up to the 19s. So he knows that group of players. They've qualified by winning the group. So it's having that. It's having the coaches work with those players closely, and having the camps helps as well. If we can't get within the calendar window, the international window, if we can't have games, then the minimum we'll have is a 3-4 day camp where we're still getting the players in and they're getting to play together, train together, and build into them, the Welsh way that we're talking about. Because every player comes from their own club, that they've got their own philosophy, their own way of playing. But it's important they know that when they come with us, this is what we expect from them. And then you end up developing then a player that goes all the way through, like Joe has to the first team.
Is it the same for coaches then, Rob? So when you stepped up to the seniors, it was that kind of same progression as for yourself as well?
Well, I think since Ryan took over, I played with Ryan, and since when he took over, we did have conversations about the youth players. So that was encouraging straight away. I knew that he wanted to develop these younger players and get them in the first team as quick as he could, which was great. So we had a lot of contact before I'd moved up in September anyway, and then I think it was the natural thing to do with Oshan moving on as well. And then I had a phone call from Ryan saying, look, come up and let's see how things go and come and have a couple of games. And obviously we went from strength to strength, and having an understanding of the younger players certainly helped him. And then the rest is history, as they say. But it was a great experience and easy to step up. He's great to work for. His attention to detail is unbelievable. There's nothing left. The detail that goes into the video meetings with Albert as well, and Struds and Tony Roberts, it's a great group there, and we work hard tirelessly all day to get things right, and it's paid off in the end.
What do you think you added to that group then?
Well, I went in and give him a little bit more understanding of some of the younger players. Obviously, he was aware of them, but if they're not playing first team football regularly at their parent clubs, then it's hard to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. It's all right seeing them for 3-4 days in training, but you need to know them as characters, as people as well. And just giving him that little bit of an insight. I took over the attacking set plays, which, whether we improved or not, I'll leave that up to your opinion as supporters. Joe, what are you laughing at?
Well, there was a goal in Azerbaijan, right? From
there you go. Thanks. Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah. So, I just think we work well together. Myself, Ryan, and Albert. I think, I just give a little bit of. I'm a defender. I was a defender, so I'll always look at it from a defensive point of view. Ryan has obviously played as a winger, and we'll look at things from an attacking point of view. So I think it's good that we all have an opinion, and Ryan ultimately then will make the final decision. But it's good that he gets a varied opinion then on opposition and certainly our home team.
What's he like at attacking free kicks then, Joe?
Who paid you, the gaffer?
Yeah, paid.
No, not taking them.
Well, we've scored plenty, so has to be some credit somewhere, and yeah, Page's got to take some credit for sure.
So that whole kind of build-up for you both then all culminated in that last November international window, and Joe, obviously you started against Azerbaijan, and actually, I know the Hungary game obviously was the pinnacle, but actually that Azerbaijan game where Joe Allen was missing and Ramsey was missing, and it was actually a younger side than went to play against Hungary, and and it was an incredibly mature performance. So it sort of all came together, didn't it, at that point? What were your memories kind of going into that game and your feelings? You must have known you were likely to start, were you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a good chance because I'd come on. I mean, I made my debut in September against Belarus and felt I did okay. And then came off the bench in the next 2 games against Croatia and Slovakia. And then obviously with Joe suspended, I sort of knew that there was going to be an opportunity for someone to step in. So I was open-minded and made sure that, I approached it the way I always do. And I think that's just the way I've always done it. It helps me not to think too far ahead and just to sort of take it day by day and, right, I'll be the best I can in training today. All right, that's done. I'll be the best I can in training tomorrow. And hopefully the gaffer gives me the nod for the position, which he did. And obviously nerves, but at the end of the day, it's a game of football and you've got the same amount of people on the pitch. The pitch is the same size. And I think when you're playing with the players of the quality that I was, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And I think I've sort of come from playing in League One, and I think that's probably why I was a bit sceptical and surprised to even get the opportunity to be called up to the senior squad. And I think obviously when you're playing with the players that I was at Lincoln, I feel I have a great responsibility on the pitch because obviously the standard isn't as high and you're not playing with world-class players like you are when you're with the national team. So I think it was just a case of, trying to be as level-headed as possible. Of course, there are probably a few more nerves than normal. But like I said, I think when you look around in the tunnel and you look who's standing in front of you and who's behind you, it makes a big difference for sure.
So this might just be either my age or the fact that it's kind of, we're looking at it from a different way. But was it a little bit emotional walking out there with these guys that you've gone right the way through the system with? Or is it simply, we are going to win this game and then we'll think about the stuff later?
No, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, standing next to Harry in the tunnel for the Azerbaijan game, he's somebody that I've known since I was 14. And, like we touched on earlier, to have come through the age groups of him, it's just crazy, really. And, we spoke about it after the Hungary game and my dad was speaking to his dad and we were sort of reminiscing about, some of the, because it's not always glamour in those youth teams. And, you go to some tough places and there's 50 people watching. So I think to have experienced those sort of times with Harry and then to have come through and been able to have played a part, albeit probably a pretty small part, but in qualifying for a major championship, which the country's not done often. So it was definitely a good feeling, not just to do it, but to do it with the people who you've, shared experiences with in the past.
And for you, Rob, a fatherly feeling? Is that what we describe it as? Or
Listen, very, very proud watching players that you've worked with at under 21 level and using Joe as an example. Obviously, of course, you're proud, absolutely. But I had no fear at all, not nervous at all for him as a player. One thing Joe has got, and one thing we've tried to create, he talks about the team spirit there, having played with players throughout the ages, and that definitely helps. And the team spirit we've got within the camp is unbelievable. It's probably like what you get at a club level, and it's hard to create that when you've only got them for very few days out of the year. And I think what's helped is when Joe loses in training, it's a nightmare. He's a nightmare to manage. But you need that. You've absolutely got to have it. Without that, you don't make it in this sport. You don't make it in this industry. So that's what when I say about you've got to have a winning mentality, you need that. That's your foundation. If you've got ability as well as that, you'll go to the very top. You will, absolutely. And I think what we've got is, because of the team spirit so good, we've got a great group of senior players that manage a changing room and keep people firmly, feet firmly planted on the ground. But they also know that when they look over their shoulder, they've got young people like Joe coming through and Joe Roden and DJ and Rabbi. They've got these young players that are coming through going, right, we're going to push you as hard as we can, by the way, because we want your jersey. And when you've got that, you've got a great balance. You've got a great chemistry in that changing room. And that's one thing the gaffer's always wanted. He's wanted these young ones coming through to keep them on their toes and push them. And it's created a great atmosphere in that changing room.
There we go. Hope you enjoyed that. A really good insight, and that's what I love about these video casts. We get a chance to really go in depth with the interviewees. Now, part 2 is going to involve 3 coaches who are integral to the success of the age grade system. First of all, Paul Bowden, who is the under-21s coach. Then we speak to Rob Edwards, who's part of the under-19s setup, and Matty Jones, who's the latest recruit into the age grade system. He's going to be looking after the under-18s. If you don't know Matty, he made his debut for Leeds at the age of 18. He came on for Gary Speed for his Wales debut, but unfortunately injury cut short his playing career. He's now a really well thought of young coach and a great addition, so we'll be hearing his thoughts as well. But let's get into it. And first of all, I asked Paul Bowden about why he got involved in the age grade setup and the changes he's seen in recent years.
When I actually got involved myself, which was in 2012, Geraint Williams was the intermediate manager, and he did all 3 age groups, 17s, 19s and 21s. And he asked me would I be interested in doing a bit of coaching on a part-time basis until I perhaps either found another job or I've ended up staying for the last 7-8 years. So it's been really good. I mean, I've seen it kind of grow in terms of staff. I've seen a progression come in terms of the level of players. So there's a lot of work goes on before they come to us, in fairness. And it's an important factor, really. Players not coming in blind. They know the kind of system and the structure. So they come in, and when they join in with us as 17s, and now it's 18s, 19s and 21s, there's a real feel of what we expect from them. So it's been quite a nice, smooth transition the last couple of years. And I think the success has proved that to be the case.
Did you recognise that pathway, Rob, and how important it is for players to feel like when they step up, they know exactly what they're going to step into as they go through the age grades?
I mean, that's the beauty of sort of the younger boys, and especially the smaller country, that the boys who play under 15s, 16s, and then come into the under 17s. As long as there is a Welsh way, like you say, they know how to play. It makes it easy for them. I've been really impressed by the younger age groups, the coaches. Myself and Paul have seen them coach and play, boys play, and you can see straight away that there's a real link with right the way through to the senior team, and that gives the boys an opportunity, because it's not easy just turning up and playing with another 17, 18 players that you probably know reasonably well, but you haven't seen for 3 or 4 months. So there needs to be some continuity in terms of style of play, sort of behaviours as well. The environment that the coaches and that's set. So, the environment is very similar from the under 15s through to Paul's 21s to the seniors, which is a working environment, but a real certain style of play.
And this is probably the most amount of coaches, and the setup is probably as full and as professional as it's ever been, Matty, isn't it?
Yeah, and quite strange for it to be that way, really, as we're all experiencing such a tough time at the moment going through this pandemic, But it certainly feels such a healthy environment, definitely an enthusiastic one, and one full of support. It's the first sense of emotion that I felt coming on board was the togetherness and that pride that everyone shows of just trying to help you by tweaking little things. But the good thing for me, I haven't just stepped in, into what is the modern way of working. I've had this transition over a couple of years, and the support through the coach ed system, as well as my sort of involvement with the projects and the scheme with the FAW and the FAW Trust. So I think it can't be overlooked, a lot of the work that's gone into the grassroots football, having the right syllabus, the Welsh Way curriculum in place, so that we are developing younger and better players as well as better coaches, so that when we as coaches within the intermediate age groups get to work with these players, they're much more advanced than potentially 10 years ago.
Because you've just made the switch yourself, haven't you, from the Swans, where you were working in the academy there, to international. What was it that sort of made you make that leap?
Well, my involvement over the last couple of years, really, with the Victory Shield squad, I'd seen from afar in terms of the work that goes in within the regionals and the younger age groups. And I was lucky enough to have an opportunity, albeit that I think supported by my playing background, and it allowed me a chance But given that opportunity, I'm working with the likes of Richie quite closely and Craig Knight, being backed by Oshan and Carl Darlington was breathtaking for me. The fact that they were allowing and quite happily pushing my development as a coach, and I've sort of sensed that from afar. So my everyday involvement, I suppose, has been, at Swansea City Football Club on the grass every day. And it was quite overwhelming that I'd been given this opportunity, because I really felt that I needed much more experience, another 10 years in the game to make more mistakes and to get things wrong on the grass while coaching. So I certainly feel that I'm in a very lucky position, and one that I fully appreciate it right now.
Yeah. Paul, it seems like, and Matty may not appreciate this too much, but you're all coaches of a certain generation. You guys have sort of come through, you've played together or in and around the similar sorts of sides. Is that an important kind of factor and helps with the chemistry of the current group of coaches we've got in the male side of the game?
Well, I think so. I think, as Matty said, we're very passionate, very enthusiastic, all honourable Welshmen. So we enjoy our job. I mean, listen, any job you do, you've got to enjoy it, and you've got to be enthusiastic, and we've got to create that environment for when these players come in, they enjoy themselves. You can't have an environment where they're reluctant to turn up to start with, and when they turn up, if everything's too methodical, and players get bored very quickly nowadays. So you've got to keep them enthused, you've got to keep them excited. They enjoy each other's company. When they come away, obviously it might be a little bit different in the next couple of camps, but we encourage them to spend time with each other, to share each other's experiences. We have a lot of meetings. We have meeting rooms where there's table tennis and games where they join in. They're interactive throughout the camp. So there's a lot of good relationships built up throughout the camps over the years, and then them friendships stay hopefully forever. They certainly stay through the intermediate groups and into the seniors. And again, that helps when they do step into the first team environment. They create the same environment there. I mean, one of Chris's strengths, he says it, Chris Coleman's strengths, was the team spirit they had. But, you can't buy that. You've got to build that over time, and you've got to have trust with the players. The players have to trust you, and in turn, you'll get the success on the pitch, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what's happened.
Yeah, well, I guess we were talking to Joe, and he was saying about how amazing it felt being on the same pitch as Harry Wilson and DJ, who they'd gone through the system with, and how special that was to him. Are there things that you do then, Rob, to kind of bring the players together off the pitch?
It's a big part, that they can feel comfortable. I think the older they get, the more natural, the more comfortable they are in each other's surroundings. The younger boys, they seem to have a bit of a standoff when they first meet up. But we do loads of things, and it's the social part of the game. Building team spirit is really important. But you've got to understand it's like a microwave sort of 10 days that we're together. Everything you do has got to be really intense. So it's, that's why I think as a coach, for all of us coaches, it's such a challenging environment. The 10 days or 9 days whenever you have the boys, that you need to get things right, and the social side of it's huge.
I think just to add to that as well, if you don't mind, Lawrence, is that we're dealing with players, at a much more academic level, I suppose, than previous, without being disrespectful. These players are coming in and they're engaged to learn. They want to be challenged, and that's the growth mindset that we've tried creating, I suppose, within the Welsh environment for a number of years, is that we want players to come in and ask questions and talk about the detail. And I suppose it's just the creative ways that we create that environment and design our challenges to the players. It's no longer do they want the rest and to go off into their rooms and just have an afternoon to themselves. They want to be engaged all the time. And, it's quite warming and breathtaking at times when they keep you on your toes as a coach as well.
So something else we do, Matt, I'm sure you're aware as well, Lawrence, is that we obviously try and work with the players pre-camp. So they're not just turning up and then it's a complete switch over. So they got access to lots of videos, lots of clips, the Welsh way. It's all on a website called MyTP. So they all can log in. It's a secure login, and all the information there. We try and get a relationship with the players every week. They should, on a Monday morning, just go on for 5 minutes and tell us if they played on the weekend, how many minutes, if they picked up a little injury. So obviously we go and watch them most weekends, and we try and get a little brief chat with them, either post or pre-game. But certainly that relationship as well, that we care about them. You can only watch so many players. We can't watch every single player. So the players that we perhaps haven't been to watch, they're feeding back information. So there's a two-way relationship being built throughout the season. And that certainly helps when you go on camp. You can relate to a certain game or, something you've seen on MyTP. You had a little injury a month ago. How's that injury now? Hopefully, you're 100% fit. And so it's just that little link, just that little feeling that you've got a constant contact with the player, but deep down that they are with their clubs. And that is the most important thing initially, until they get selected and then they come on camp. Then that's when they can produce what we know they're capable of.
And I guess that's important, not only for the players feeling and all that, but there's a lot of dual qualified kids as well. So it's making them feel part of the Welsh system and understanding the benefits of being in it and staying in it.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I know the younger age groups are big on them learning the national anthem early. The boys probably were, playing in England or dual nationality, whatever. It's important they learn the language, learn the national anthem, and try and feel part of it as quickly as possible. I play for Wales because my dad's a Welshman, a proud Welshman, and I remember standing there playing for Wales for a couple of times, thinking, I'm not really Welsh. I soon felt Welsh after a bit. The boys were brilliant with me, and it became my country, and I was proud as anyone to put on the Welsh shirt.
And it's like we've said, and a couple of us have pointed on, Lawrence, is that, part of our role as coaches, and not just on international duty, is for the remainder of those weeks and days in terms of communicating with the players, communicating with the clubs, making sure that we know the detail of the development points that they're given, as individuals at their club, and we can support around that as well. And there's no better feeling, I suppose, as a player when you've got outside influence, whether that's family members and representatives, but certainly from an international point of view, to have that support makes them feel really, really special. And I suppose that's a big part of my role this year with taking over the new age group, the under 18s. Is something that we haven't had a previous, and it goes without saying, that's 12 months of development where we can really capitalise on you in terms of accumulating more caps for these players, giving them more international experience, whether that's through games or through training, and making sure that we have the right synergy with the clubs and making it a whole holistic relationship between parent, player, coaches, head of academies, and making sure that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Apologies for the terminology, but that's what I'll be trying to create, just like Rob and Paul have already got in place. And I think that's important. When you mentioned about dual nation players, is that's going to be vital in terms of where they decide to go ultimately in the end.
Right, let's get on to your own teams at the moment. And so with yourself, Paul, you've got 4 games coming up, I think, pre-Christmas, as long as, let's say that they are rearranged, they're in the bag as far as we know right at this second. But you're looking in good place in the groups, just off second place on goal difference, and 4 really big games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a shame we didn't get the March games under, but obviously the circumstances dictate. But we're certainly hoping. UEFA have said and stipulated that we're looking to fulfil the September fixtures. So the planning's underway. It's been underway the last couple of weeks since UEFA set them dates or confirmed that they would be still ongoing. So we're looking at all the players. We're speaking to the clubs. It's pretty much the squad that I would have picked in March. So there's no real surprises in that. We could have perhaps gone for some of the under-19s potentially to start developing them earlier. But obviously Rob's got the elite group, so I wouldn't want to dismantle that too much for sure. But no, I'm looking forward to it. We are in a reasonable position. We got Bosnia away, then Belgium away in October, and then Moldova home and Germany away. So 3 tough games on paper. But Belgium went to Germany in one of the last games just before Christmas and beat Germany on their home soil. So that'll give us confidence. Our first opening game, we did beat Belgium. So that was a real confidence boost as well. So so hopefully we'll have a full squad. But again, if a few players have moved up to the seniors because they got a number of fixtures to fulfill as well, then that's fantastic for them. So we certainly won't stop players moving up. But then I might be dipping into Rob's group.
Well, that's Rob Bay's group in a second, but that's going to be a kind of real challenge for you, isn't it, this year? You know, because there's so many games for the seniors, and then obviously you guys have got to fit games in as well, and then you've got players that are kind of on the verge of breaking into that senior squad. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like Brennan Johnson, I guess, has started making some appearances for Nottingham Forest and being linked with a step up. So you've got those players and their expectations to manage as well.
No, absolutely. And you know, like I said, we would never discourage a player. If Ryan and Rob, you know, they want to take them players, then they take them. I mean, Rabbi Matondo is one in between. Is he going to go and play regular with the seniors, or does he just gain that experience? He could certainly play for us age-wise. Ethan Ampadu's the same, although Ethan pretty much holds his own in the first team. Ben Woodburn, you know, they're players who, two of them, Robbie and Woodburn, could potentially come back and play. But it just depends what Ryan thinks of the next squad. And of course, then you just mentioned, I mean, Brennan has been excellent for us. He's progressing at his club, which is the most important thing. If you can go and play in the championship when you're 18, 19 years of age, then you're going to be on the forefront of everybody's eyes. So, no, you know, they go with our best wishes, but I'm perhaps hoping I could take them to Bosnia and get a result first.
And why not? Stake your claim now. Rob, for you, it was such a disappointment March, wasn't it? You guys have done fantastically well in that tournament to get to the elite stage, winning the group with some really impressive results. And the team that you had there looked like a real side. We watched them a couple of times at Rodney Parade, and with Nico Williams kind of in there leading the way. It was a strong side you had. So are you hoping to try and keep that nucleus of that side together? Because they're being given dispensation to play in this elite stage, aren't they? Even if they've sort of passed that 19s age group.
You know, it's a strong. The 19s was a strong group. We were very lucky though. Out of that group, the previous season, Paul took I think 9 or 10 of that group to the elites, and we played Spain and Holland in the elites then, and they carried on. They stayed. So they were young when they played in that. So Nico Williams, Morgan Boyce, Ryan Astley, players like that had benefited from that, being involved in Paul's under 19s. And that was the first time I'd seen an elite round as well, and the standard was really top draw football, and they were exposed to that. So then when we got these boys as part of the 19s the year after, we had a strong team, like you say. Whether we'll keep hold of people like Nico, I'd be surprised. But it's great that we can qualify for these elite tournaments, because like Paul said, the level just goes up, and it just exposes the boys to such a high level of international football. You know, some of the boys we played against for Spain and Holland were senior players at their clubs and had played 50 times in La Liga. You know, for our boys to play against players like that, it was a great experience.
Yeah, for a coach, and I also always wondered this, Dennis, you'll go through his age group. So you have someone like Nico, who's obviously developed very fast at that age group, and then somebody like Keenan Patton, who's going off to play with Pen y Bont, but in Cardiff system. How do you kind of deal as a coach with those sort of the advancements that they're making at that age?
Yeah, the speed of their improvement is incredible, you know, especially like someone like Nico's at an incredible football club and being exposed to senior football. Some of the others are playing under 23 football, so possibly their progression's not quite as quick. But when they playing for the same team, that sort of goes out the window. They, you know, on the week, the 10 days they're with you, it's just about them doing as well as they can. They're all individual, like Paul says, they're at their own club, so their speed of their development is different and their agenda is different. But while they come away with us, they try and buy into the team, and that's the important thing, that it's all about the team and working together.
And Matty, we were talking there. Well, Rob touched on the fact that you've got Spain under 19s, for example. They've got players involved in their senior side. I mean, Wales traditionally, we've pushed them up quickly, haven't we? If they're in and around a first team, they get kind of pushed to our first team. But there's actually a bit of a stockpile now, isn't there? We're sort of going down through, and that's exactly what we want.
Well, how wonderful to be in a position to manage that as well. It was quite interesting earlier when it was spoken by Paul and Rob about players being stretched and pushed up and whether to take off each other. It was an interesting part of my remit, and something I wanted to make sure that I was clear on in terms of how things are addressed in terms of stretching players, because within a club environment, you can do it, you can manage it, you control it. within an international environment, because it's so competitive, I just wondered what the reaction would be from individual coaches, as you know, right from the top all the way through. But it was refreshing to see how quite easily it's communicated and supported by each other. And I think that's so important for the players' development. You know, if they're ready to be stepped up an age group, then that opportunity needs to be given to them. Albeit, like Paul said earlier, you know, you have to bear in mind, is it going to tread on other coaches and teams' you know, path in terms of if it's competitive and your game is not, for example. So all things considered, players are given opportunities, and that's a wonderful thing. And going back to your point, having a cluster within the pathway again makes it healthy, so that Paul will have an abundance of talent within his group, which are ready for that step and not quite yet having the opportunity. But it makes Paul's side in the 21s much more competitive in these European qualifications or games that he will play on, whereas history and years gone by, we've kind of struggled in these, you know, so it's a great place to be.
Struggled, my goodness, yes. I can remember years gone by growing up watching the Wales age grade results and thinking, God, blimey! But we were stretched, right? We didn't have the resources that we do now.
And what I do think as well, you know, you mentioned players as well, you know, playing at different levels and albeit their progression at different speeds, etc. When they come into our environment, they are given the best of detail. We're talking pro-licensed detail in terms of information that they may have not had at their football club. So we're still developing them and making them better players, albeit they may not go to the next level, or they may not represent Wales at the senior level, but we're certainly improving them, and then we're making them better players.
Yeah. Do you have to be quite selfless as an age grade coach?
I think so. I mean, obviously I've been involved for 7 years now, so I've kind of, my first age group back in 2012 was Harry Wilson, Dan James, Joe Morrell. I mean, you know, we had a real good group of players at that age group. So I've seen them progress, and it is important. Yes, they need international football. I think you have to be careful and monitor. Do you move them up too quickly? Because we would all like to see them all go up there, but the facts are, you know, their club football is still the most important. And when you look at people like Sean Spence now, you know, he was high on our list who would go on, and he's without a club. Cameron Cox, you know, talked about Man City at Cardiff City last year, that they were watching him and studying him, and all of a sudden he's without a club. So we just got to be a little bit careful. And we're very mindful that, like I mentioned a couple of times, their club football is probably more important, because that's where they make their career. That's where they make their money, their wages, and we're only borrowing their players for a short period of time. As much as we want to enhance and help their progress, they have to be doing that day in, day out when they're away from Wales and they're with their normal clubs. So to see people like Cameron, and I've seen over the years, Tommy O'Sullivan, you know, he was Welsh Young Player of the Year. The following season, he gets released by Cardiff, and I think he's at Hereford now. So, you know, what happened there? You know, and we always talk about, you know, why isn't this player developing quite as well as that player? But every club's got their own mandate, their own agenda, their own philosophy. But, you know, we think perhaps 23s football, once you're 19, 20, maybe they need to be challenged. And Nico's a good example, really. He did play 23s at a very young age, but he's been in around the first team for the last 12 months, and we can all see his progress. It's incredible. You know, he steps into their first team, not like a young player, but like a senior player. I mean, he's ordering people where to go and demanding the ball, and he's having a real positive impact in the team, which is fantastic. You know, it's a delight to see.
The interesting thing is, though, that Paul, Paul's worked in development football. I worked in development football. Matty has. I think I agree with what Matty's saying. If you came into these roles initially from a senior environment, I think it would be testing. It's a hit. We were talking about some of the results that the intermediate teams have had over the years. It's not nice losing games, but sometimes the bigger picture, there's a reason you'll have a younger team, or you basically will have an age group which isn't particularly strong for a couple of years. That can happen, and I'm sure we'll have a year or two that might happen in the future. At the moment, it looks like we've got some good players coming through, but as a coach, we all want to win. There's no doubt we want to win, but I really think an important thing is the message you get from above you, so from Rob Page and from Ryan, is that we want to produce players. Yeah, you want to win games, but the big picture, can we produce players? And that's by playing a certain way, the Welsh way, which will produce players.
Welsh way. Now you have the knowledge of what it is and why we're getting so much success and so many of these brilliant young players coming through. So if you like the video, don't forget to give it a like and a share. And this autumn, don't forget that FC Cymru will bring you right across all those international games. There are men's, women's and age grade football taking place. We, as ever, will give you the inside story. But for now, we'll see you soon.